Welcome once again to another episode of Sounds of Mulika. Today we speak to a guest who's going to take us through his personal journey with the issue that we have been highlighting over the past months, rape and defilement. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves and then we'll take it from there. Please introduce yourself.
Asante sana and thank you so much for having me. My official name is Kelvin Jaroge, but preferred name is Keylor. I am a community champion. I'm a HIV champion. I work around advocacy on HIV, advocacy on SRHR, advocacy on CSE. Basically, everything that has to do with SRHR and HIV, I'm there. You'll find me there. Yes.
Thank you very much, Keylor, for introducing yourself and for taking time to come and even speak to us in the first place.
Thank you so much for having me.
A lot of people are not open to telling their stories, rightfully so. It is very traumatizing for most people, and given the failures that we have been highlighting all through, systemic failures, after you've been shamed at home, you've been shamed at the police station, at every single stage you've been shamed, it's not easy to come out and tell the story, right? So how come you are telling us your story?
I'd say first of all, before I got to this point, it took me a lot of courage, a lot of time to be able to gather my thoughts together, how will I say it? Just to want to say it. It wasn't that easy for me, and it was quite hard. But one thing that propelled me to whichever place I am right now is the kind of work that I do, and also the dedication of the work that I do, which is basically around what happened to me, and now basically everything to do with HIV and SRHR. So basically that is why I decided to it's time I also share my story, and maybe my story will be someone else's guiding light. Yeah.
Thank you very much for sitting with us. Now, rape and defilement. We have been saying this is a real issue within society.
Yeah.
And I want to hear your story, how you went through that. How old were you? How did it feel? What was the response when now it was discovered that this was happening, when you were when you're telling the relevant people who are supposed to be protecting you from home to the police? Take us through that journey, please.
First of all, it happened when I was quite young. I think I was around 18 years. I was just fresh from high school, and decided to join the social media world. I didn't know so much about social media. I was just as naive as any freshly graduate from high school could be. And from that, I met a bunch of people that I thought they were my friends. From that clique, I got to meet this particular person that invited me to their place to go and hang out and all that. And in the middle of me going to that place, the ordeal happened. I was sexually assaulted by a bunch of I'd say three or four. The ones that I can remember on top of my head were 4. Yeah, and after it happened, me being the naive person that I was back then, I couldn't say anything because 1, I had no information of where to go or who to talk to, and 2, I was still traumatized and I was still scared of the things of me saying it, because 1, if I say it as a man, who will believe me? That is 1, and 2, how will they take it, or how will they react to it that I've been sexually assaulted as a man, and how will they help me? Yeah, so those are the things that were running in my head that time, and with that, it took me quite a while before I could tell anyone whatever actually happened. And I remember the first time I was able to talk about it was, I think, over a year later. And over a year later, I mean the first time I got tested for HIV, and my results came out positive. That is the first time I decided to. That is the first time I decided to talk about it with the person that was helping me at that time. I talked about it with them, and I gave them my side of the story and why I didn't report. And from that point is when I learned if I had the information of where to go, who to talk to, or how to report to, I could have been helped by that point. But now, since it's already past a year, I couldn't be. There's nothing that could have been done at that point. And also, I didn't remember the faces. I didn't remember the people, the people that were involved in that ordeal. Yeah. It was quite challenging. The first few months after the ordeal happened were quite challenging. Every time I could close my eyes or just sit by myself, the first thing I could see was the images of the perpetrators of the people that were involved in that ordeal. It was quite hard, and having to deal with it alone is not easy. Trust is not easy, and yeah. I'd say from that first point when I started talking about it was kind of a stepping stone. It was a bit I'd say it was a bit relieving for me to talk to someone and tell them how I felt at that point and how I'm feeling right now. And from that point I started my healing journey and started now talking about it, and yeah, it became now from a healing journey now to now my work. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. It is amazing that you're telling us this story with so much calm.
Well, I'd say I'm in a place where I'm now calm. I'm now in a calm spirit. I can be able to talk about it without crying, without breaking down, without feeling whatever that I was feeling. It still hurts, yes, but right now is the time that I can use this voice of mine to have this information out there, to make sure that to ensure that not any other young person will go whatever that I went through. Every young person out there will have the information. We will know where to report to. We'll know where to go. We'll know where to run to after the ordeal. For me, I didn't have anywhere to go to. I didn't have no one to tell or anyone to talk to. I had to deal with it by myself. I wouldn't want any other young person to go through whatever that I went through that time. So yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, how long ago was this? How long ago did this happen?
Can I remember the year? Yes, I can remember the year. The year was back in 2015. Yes.
So it is a while back.
It's
right?
quite a while back.
It's not that long if you think about it. It's just around 10 years.
Yeah, it's just around 10 years. 10 years. And I was actually fresh from high school. I don't even think I was legally 18 yet.
You were not legally 18?
Yes, I wasn't legally 18 yet. I was still a minor. But a naive minor who was eager to learn, who was eager to explore the world. Yeah, who was eager to get to know things. And the approach that I took to get to know these things was the wrong approach, and an approach that led me to me being not defiled. Yeah. Is it defilement at that age?
At that age, you were 18, freshly 18.
17 heading to 18.
That was defilement.
Yes. So
definitely.
Whatever that happened, then I wouldn't want any other young person to go through it again. And I love the fact that you're talking about it right now and using Mulika as one of the speakers or one of the voices to push this conversation out there, because one thing that I got to understand is that speaking from a privileged point of view, and a privileged point of view is where I'm the one doing the advocacy work. I got to realize that we speak from a privileged point of view. We forget that people from the community, people from the grassroots may not even get this information. For me, I was just freshly out of high school, not even legally 18 yet, trying my best to get to know the world, get to know things, get to explore my sexuality, get to explore the word sex itself. And the way it started for me wasn't the right way to start. And yeah.
You've spoken about information, young people having information. Based on your story, do you think today, if young people, especially right from as young as they get into school all the way up to high school, if they receive sexuality, comprehensive, that word that we are told in our Gopwa. If young people receive comprehensive sexuality education, then they are able to make, decisions from an informed point of view.
Ukweli ni ati, yes, that is something that it is very much practical, and that is something that is very much doable. It is just that I don't know us as a country how we view the word comprehensive sexuality education. I think that is where the problem comes in, and that is something that we should change the perception about. Talking from a point where from a point of, is it knowledge, or from a point of experience? If I had the information at that point, I would have known the right channels to use. I would have known the right channels to maybe to go report, or maybe to go seek medical help. I would have known, not even let alone even reporting. I would have known how to take care of myself before even getting to that ordeal. I would have known. I would have seen the red flags. Yeah, let me say that. I would have seen the red flags before going to whichever place I went to and got sexually assaulted at that place. So to me, information is key. To me, information is power. As long as I have information, as long as I know that if A happens, I know I have an option B for me to lay on. If B happens, I know I can go to point A or point B to get information, or to get services, or to get the help that I'd wanted. Yeah. So to me, information is very key, and that does not only mean information to people from maybe upper primary or something. It means from ule mdogo, from the ule mdogo kabisa. Yeah. Let's give our children information. Let's give our girls, our boys information. Right now, most people in our communities think that rape is just a girl's world. Sorry to say, but yeah, that is what the community thinks, right? But rape can happen to anyone. Rape can happen to absolutely anyone. I thought I couldn't be raped, but yeah, it happened. Same with Baby Tamara thought that person that she went with was a friend. Same way I thought that person that I was going to visit was a friend. See, information to just information to kidogo tu, yeah, can push this conversation way ahead. Yeah.
It was interesting to me when you said you're speaking from a point of privilege, and I am aware that there are a lot of survivors and victims of rape and defilement. You being one of them, and then you're saying you're speaking from a point of privilege. How does that, do you get to a point where you consider yourself privileged enough?
By the time speaking from a point of privilege, I meant, you see, I started as a community person who had gone through a traumatic event, but now within that traumatic event, I got to a point where I am now doing the advocacy work. So by me doing the advocacy work, by me being in the boardrooms, me being in the conversations, me being with the stakeholders, with the community duty bearers, and speaking to them directly. No, that is me being at a privileged point of view, because I have the access to these people, I have the access to this information. But we forget that there's that person that doesn't have that opportunity or the privilege for them to enter into these spaces and speak about whatever that they went through. That in itself, at a point, it helped my healing journey, because the more I could speak about it, the more I could find the courage to talk to more people about it, the more I felt like I was releasing whatever that was hurting me. So yeah, that is what I meant by speaking from a privileged point of view.
It boggles my mind, because most people would, rightfully so, be still very bitter, by what happened to them. Most people would be so mad, rightfully so.
Yeah,
and
true.
Then you're seated here, you've accepted it happened, and now you're in rooms where you're able to, advocate for better for younger people. That is actually quite impressive.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations for what you're doing, and thank you so much for what you're doing out there.
Thank you so much.
Quite excellent. You have said you are an advocate for sexual and reproductive health and HIV. allow me to take you back again. How did you get to the point where now you are an advocate?
After that ordeal and after that happened, I stayed around a year without speaking to anyone, without talking to anyone about whatever that happened, right? And when I got tested for HIV, the first time I got tested for HIV wasn't even I wasn't even going to test at that point. I was taking my cousin to go get circumcised, and then in that process, now being the one to take care of my cousin, I had to get tested for HIV as well. So at that point, that is when I got tested for HIV, and I knew my status. Again, it took me another 3 to 4 months for me to be in shock again, to like relive the whole ordeal again, to like now rethink, because after my sexual assault, I couldn't see anyone. I wasn't able to like have friends or go meet people or even have a sexual partner at that point. I was scared, I was traumatized. So again, it took me another 3 to 4 months again to now to get traumatized again, to start my healing process again, to start my medication journey with HIV, with ARVs again. It was quite a lot. I happened to pass around social media again, and I stumbled upon a community-based organization in town, in Nairobi CBD, and I was interested. I was intrigued. So I inboxed them, told them about my story, and then told them that I'd love to come and maybe be a part of that community and see how things go from there. And I started from there. Started with simple things like being a peer mentor. By peer mentor, I mean like talking to my peers, just having a conversation with my peers. Gradually going to moving from no peer mentor to a HIV champion for that particular organization. Moving from HIV champion, now going to spaces where I can speak to stakeholders, to community duty bearers. I could speak to other organizations. Now that is how my journey went, and I found myself loving the advocacy journey more. And again, talking from a point of experience, I wouldn't see another young person going through the same thing I went through again. So I took that and took it to heart. I took it as my driving force, as my my driving force, as my driving force to this particular work that I do up to now.
That is just crazy. Like, I know for me, and I know a lot of people out there, the paths could have been very different. The fact that you were able to, it happened. You went through the psychological, the mental for a year plus, and then again you go testing. Accidentally, you find that you're positive, and then you say, it happens, and then chance and opportunities just found you, and it's impressive to see, and you took them up. Because for most of the survivors, most of the victims of rape and defilement, there's that deterioration that happens when rape or defilement takes place for both boys and girls. Especially, I know for men, it's even a bit more complex because unarepiwa, make it make sense. Yeah,
ukweli. And also to add on that point, it was quite complex because up to now I don't think my parents really know what really transpired, because of the patriarchal and oh my God, because of the patriarchal whatever and the certain norms, the certain expectations of a man, I wasn't able to like tell them specifically what really happened. What I'd say, and I'm sure on YouTube, but what I'll say is what I told them was I met a girl somewhere, and I didn't test with the girl, and we went to the girl row, and it happened. But she didn't quite buy it. My mom didn't quite buy it, but because you know how mothers are, and they can tell from yes. But I think she bought it up to this point. Okay, on YouTube, I'm sorry, you're seeing it now, but it happened. It happened, and hata nimesahau chain of thought.
Does it have to do with that fear that if your parents know, they'll feel a certain kind of burden?
I'd say for me at that time I was thinking on the lens of when you mwanaume unarepiwa aje, and how can you be raped as a man, yeah? And coming from Wakikuyu tunakuwa na maneno mingi sana, and hearing that you've been raped, it's hata home watasema aje, as in what explain aje kwa the community that my son was raped, and he's a big I was big by then, I was a big teenager. I was a teenager by then. Yes, I was still a teenager. So sema nilikuwa mkubwa kidogo. Na hapo kurepo itakuwa a bit tricky because it's when kijana mkubwa you can fight for yourself.
Yeah, the societal expectations that have been put on men, that you men are not allowed to be anything other than strong.
Yes, and you're not allowed to cry, you're not allowed to like show your tears, you're not allowed to be weak.
You're not allowed to be weak.
Those are the kind of things that were really burdening me, and they were actually the things that barred me mostly from reporting to anyone or talking to anyone about it. It took me a whole year to be able to tell someone, not even my parents, not even, I was talking to someone who was taking me through therapy at that time. That is the person that I talked to, and the person helped me to like now open up more, have this conversation more, and accept that it happened, and it is now going to be a part of me forever. Yeah.
Do you think if at that point you were aware of the reporting channels, if you're aware of the preventative measures you should have taken, you would have taken them, or would the trauma have really, because only the person who has lived through it is able to, genuinely say whether those reporting mechanisms can actually work?
Trust me, if I knew about any reporting mechanism or anywhere that I could go to, or any person that I could have gone to and talk and maybe talk about it or just say what happened, I would have gone the same exact day, because once the ordeal happened, they dropped me at a random stage, and at that particular point I was thinking of going to the police station, but then in my head I was like, nikienda police station tena kuambia nini ime happen, nita explain how will I tell them that I have been sexually assaulted, and will they believe me, or will they then again tell me that mimi ndo nilijipeleka to that particular place for me to get assaulted? There was a lot of things were going through my mind. I was thinking about calling my mom. I couldn't call my mom at that point. I was traumatized. Niko kwa stage, I'm stranded, I'm about to cry. It was a lot of things. So if I knew of a place that I could have gone to, or something that I could have done at that particular point, I would have, because at that point now, right now when I have this information, I feel like at that point I had the power to even get them all arrested, or maybe something just could have been taken up at that point, but now, yeah.
That is actually very sad to hear. How do I put this? The police have been known to not pay attention to victim blame, to the point that even when it happened to you, and I'm sure for many other cases, people out there, they'd question whether they'd find justice at police station, and that speaks to something around our justice system, straight from the police station.
It speaks a lot for the justice system, because even up to now, you still find, leave alone the rape and defilement cases. Right now, there's femicide spreading in Kenya. It's quite alarming, and yet the justice system is not doing anything about it. We've cried that they make femicide a criminal issue, but they haven't. Because why? For them, it is not as urgent as it is for us. as we're seeing the urgency, we are seeing how our community is hurting because of these particular cases, but the justice system is not taking it up because it is not serious to them. I think it is high time that we take this conversation to them. We should not wait for them not to come and tell us. We should take this conversation to them. We should tell them what they need to hear, because at this point I don't think they want to hear it. They're hearing it, but they're blocking their
it's not a priority to them. And again, another question around the reporting. You said you work within the communities advocating for sexual reproductive justice and HIV. Right now, a young girl has been raped. Reporting channel, right, from you, how does that young girl or boy utamsaidia? Amekuja amekwambia we, by the way,
right now kumekuwa na mikakati zimekuwa okay. Sipendi kwa Kiswahili because I'm not so good in Kiswahili. But kuna mikakati zimekuwa zikiwekwa in place for the justice system. Right now we have justice what are they called? Justice desk. Gender desk. Yes, sorry. Gender desk kwa police station. They are working. At some point they are working. I'd say they are working, but kumekuwa na gender desk kwa police station. We have community paralegals as well, where community paralegals are the ones now taking up these cases, taking up these conversations and pushing them up to the point that they're going up to the court. So if a girl or a boy is defiled or is raped or is sexually assaulted in any way, be it touching, be it kissing, be it verbal, be it anything, they can rush to the police station and go to the gender desk, report at the gender desk, ask for the gender desk. They'll be guided at the gender desk. They report at the gender desk. If they don't find anyone at the gender desk, they can always look at any local community organization that is around them. They can link them up with community paralegals who will help them spearhead this case up to a point where it gets to court or they get the justice that they deserve. Yeah.
And also, let me ask, how do you say the gender desk? Is the gender desk, does it serve both men and women, or is it just specifically for women?
According to the books, it's supposed to serve men and women. But now, if you again, our societal expectations. Ukirudi kwa police station, when you're going to, say for my case, if I'm going to report, leave alone even being sexually assaulted or anything, niende tu niseme, we fought with my girlfriend na my girlfriend ameni abuse, kumekuwa na IPV, na mimi ndo nimekuja kureport. First of all, they'll not take me seriously because one, mwanaume anapigwa jana dem. That is one. And two, how can you go and report that umepigwa na manzi yako kwa police station? You see? So utapata, yes, in as much as yes in a work, but again itakuwa na a lot of bureaucracy, level even bureaucracy. Kutakuwa na a lot of gender inequality. Yeah, utapata a case from a woman inakuwa taken up quite fast than a man. Again, our reporting our justice systems.
Yeah. Okay, that's very interesting to know. I always thought gender desks, I think for even most people think gender desks are just for women.
No, they're not for women.
They're for anyone.
Yes, anyone. Yeah. Any case that you've got, kama umekuwa assaulted in any way, be it IPV, be it sexual assault, anything that has to do with gender, you can go and report at the gender desk, and they're not supposed to even ask you hizo maswali za polisi zenye wanakulizanga, the most relevant questions that they ask. Hapo utaulizwa where they actually work. I'm still trying to see if zina work kwa most of the police stations. Nimepata a few that zina work, hizo zingine we are still working on seeing how best they work.
The next question is going to be on services. If I have been raped today, or if a young child has been raped today, Amanda Hosi, have you ever been in a situation, because I know you're a SRHR, again, you are an active advocate, and I know in some cases you receive cases where mtu alienda Hosi, and then akafika tu pale and the services were either very bad or they didn't get any services at all because for whatever reason the hospitals are crowded, hakuna madaktari wa kutosha, the hospitals, doctors don't know how to handle the issues of GBV, rape and defilement, or even worse, the doctors are, because we know a bit of evidence collection, not a bit, most of evidence collection happens within that hospital setting, where now have you had cases where someone, probably not you, the next person amenda hosi evidence, hosi wamefanya vitu zao, evidence ikapotea?
Me personally, I haven't had a case like that one, but it is something that I've seen, I've read about it. It's something that I've seen also on social media, that some victims wanaenda hosi, now the victim blaming starts from the hospital even before they figure police station. So I've read about those cases. Personally, I experienced any of that. So it's experience, but I've read about it, and it's quite alarming that it's still happening even in the hospitals where they should be getting help.
Okay, so allow me to take us very back. When you were telling us your story, you said you spoke about social media and how it is how you learned about, first of all, it is what grew the curiosity to go out there and experience life. But then again, it was through social media that you found this organization where now you nurtured your ability to be able to speak to young people, to be able to advocate for better SRHR services and HIV services advocacy. Talk to us about the power of social media throughout your journey, from how it negatively and positively affected your journey to where you are now.
I'd say social media plays quite a major role in the lives of young people. Let me just say the lives of young people, because this is where you'll find most young people they are on social media most of the time. Sanya wako shule 90% of the time inakuwa on social media. So you'll find upon social media, you'll find there's good information, there's bad information, and then there's crooked information. So for me personally, I started with getting, first of all, the crooked information, which led me to making the bad decisions. Later on, after now getting back to social media again, now I came and got the good information. By good information, I mean information that necessarily, unajua, nowadays I've seen, nimekuwa nikiona watu wakipost social media, even naweza kuwa attacked kwa this one, but even some of the people that call themselves advocate, and I'm not here attacking anyone, but unapata the information that we are giving, the information that we want these young people to get is not what they are getting. We might be speaking about safe sex, or we might be speaking about sexual pleasure. In the same conversation about sexual pleasure, this young person might get the term only sexual pleasure hapo, kwa hiyo whatever, hata get the correct information that mnataka apate from there. So it is up to us who use social media as an advocacy tool to ensure that the information that we are giving out there, it is age appropriate information, and also it is informed information based communication. Yes,
based communication based.
Yes, information based communication, where we're not second guessing the things that you're telling young people, or unaambia mtu probably ama maybe unaweza kuwa na don't have that maybe in your sentence if you're using social media as an advocacy tool. If you want social media to be at for me, what I do is I ensure that the information that I'm giving, first of all, is information that can be verified, is information that any other young person out there, not even using my own channel as an advocacy information platform, can get that information from another advocacy platform. Same information, same consistent information that is not haiwapeleki astray. Yeah. Sijui kama nimejibu enough.
Yes. Do you think if another young person right now leaves school, freshly out of high school, aende pale nje, do you think those responsible have done a good job at ensuring that information is out there, enough information is out there that the next young person will not find themselves in the same position that you found yourself in?
I'd say it's a two-sided sword. I'd say there's a good side and there's a bad side of it. The good side is that information nowadays is everywhere. You can get information anywhere right now. You can get any type of information you want. Sana with the use of social media, there's a lot of information out there about sexual health, about reproductive health. There's a lot of information out there. The only thing that we haven't done quite well is ensuring that this information is consistent as possible, or this information gets to the right people, or this information is correct information before we share it. Some of the times we find ourselves sharing information and then ikifika hapo mbele kasi ndio realize we made a mistake, let's retract back and then tell them this is the correct way. That is something that pia tumefanya a bit of. The other thing is that we are sharing information to people who already have this information. We are sharing this information to people that are already empowered. How about we focus on that person who is not empowered, that person who is not on social media, that person who is still struggling, saying the word penis, saying the word vagina, that person who is still struggling, knowing about their menstrual cycle. How about you focus on that person that maybe hata hajaenda shule, maybe hata aliachia maybe say class 4 or whichever class that alifika. How about you focus on that person? Because right now information yetu tunapatiana, we are focusing on the people that wako already empowered. They know how to use condoms, and they know that there are preps, kuna pep, wanajua kuna husianezenda apate use friendly services, but kuna mwenye ako madharenda, yani hajui kama kuna use friendly services na Madhare hospital iko hapo karibu na yeye. You see, those are the people that we are supposed to be focusing on. Tuende kwa ground. We leave alone social media, leave alone televisions and boardrooms and everything, leave alone all that. Now let's get back to the grassroots, where these people are coming from.
Finally, I want to ask, you've been through this road, you've walked this road. What would you tell, firstly, to a young person out there who also wants to experience life? Secondly, to young or older person out there who went through rape, who was defiled, what would you tell them?
First of all, for the young person who wants to explore life, I'd tell them, you'll explore and you're still going to explore. I'm still exploring life myself, and life does not it doesn't stop when you're done exploring. Things still continue. You still find new things to explore. You still find, it is just you to find the right things for you to explore. It is just you to find the right channels for you to use on whichever means you want to explore life in. It is for you to ensure that information in your now, it is correct and consistent information that can protect you as a human being, can protect your mental health, can protect your health, and also the people around you. And for the survivors that went through the same ordeal like I did, I know it is not easy. I know, in as much as I may be smiling, I may be okay, I know not so many of us get to this point, or not so many of us get to see this side of theirs ever again after that ordeal. I tell them it doesn't have to end there. It doesn't have to stop there. We can use your voice. You can use your voice to push for this conversation. You can use your voice to ensure that these perpetrators that do not have the space or the leeway to ever do this again. You can use your voice to push for the justice system. You can use your voice to ensure that these perpetrators are brought to book. We can use your voice in so many ways. It is just you to sitawaambia atakubali lisha happen. That is a very wrong thing to say. I say that justice is there and justice will come. Might delay, but justice will come at some point. Might not be through you but justice will come.
But the systems need to play their part.
System needs to play their part.
Exactly.
System needs to play their part.
Finally ya mwisho kabisa, hopefully unamulika nani? Who do you think is most responsible in ensuring that our children are safe, our communities are safe, our older people are safe? Who is responsible to ensure that Ishida rape and defilement becomes something of the past?
I'd say it's a systematic issue, and with it being a systematic issue, it touches on everyone, starting from the parents, all the way to our policymakers, all the way to our politicians, all the way to our leaders. It cuts across. And by parents, I mean, first of all, how do you talk to our children about their sexual reproductive health and the sexually reproductive organs? How do you talk to our children about comprehensive sexuality education? What information do we give our children? Do we just tell our children ambia anko asikushike tabia mbaya? Or do we tell our kids there's a private, tell your kids in private part yako, if there's a penis tell your child if there's a penis? Personally for me, and I want to sing my mother by the way, personally for me, I came to know about the word penis or the word dick nikiwa mkubwa sana, very big.
Most of us
see where now our parents are missing the point, because if this small girl knows that this is my vagina and this is the work of this vagina of mine and how I should protect it, do you think this girl will be defiled by someone just for them
without being aware of what is happening?
Exactly.
I think there's a lot of shame attached to hizi mwili ni zetu.
Exactly. Nasijaelewa kwa nini kuna kwa na shame kusema diki yangu ama my breasts or my vagina. It's yours.
Kila mtu, someone has something, right? But for some reason kuna so much shame around it, so much.
And the shame comes from my perspective. I'd say the shame comes from within our families. The same way huyu mtu akiwa mdogo kabisa akianza kujua kukaa vizuri, akianza kujua kutembea, akianza kujua kuvaa mpaka the inner wears. Hapo ndipo unafaa kufundisha huyu mtoto. Tell this child about as in age appropriate information. Yes, of course, you'll not tell them everything at that point, but you can tell them
what is important for them, and as they grow up you keep adding more information, right? Ni kama hesabu, ile hesabu ya class 1 si hesabu ya class 8.
Exactly.
But hesabu ya class 1 itakusaidia ukifika class 8.
Yes, exactly.
Simple, but it's something that will help you in the long run. Thank you very much, Keylor, for
thank you so much for having me.
Najua tumekukulia time mingi. Tusamehe.
Haina shida. It was quite an interactive conversation, and I love the fact that tunamulika the silence and tunamulika the perpetrators, tunamulika pia wenye wanafunika perpetrators. And one thing that I forgot to say is that ikifika ni easy cases kwa community, venye wanasemanga tukasote hizi cases huko nyumbani, you as a parent, why are you allowing that man to go scot free and yet leave your child scarred, suffering? Your child will never be the same again, yet this man is walking scot free because you allowed them to pay for your child's innocence. Innocence. It is because it's heartening to see that our parents, the people that are supposed to be protecting us are the same people that are accepting bribes na hizo kulipiwa nje out of court because they don't want to bring shame to their family. Such things are the same things that zinaturudisha nyuma.
Like, I've never understood the concept of how am I the victim, the one who carries the shame.
Exactly.
Yet kuna someone who's raping and defiling people out there but is allowed to walk proudly, is protected to a certain extent.
Exactly.
Unasikia mutaribia huyo kijana maisha, and he's the one
ati mtamaribia jina, mtamaribia maisha. That young girl's life, that young boy's life was already ruined by this by this grown man. I wanted to say a curse word, but yeah, grown man. By this grown man, and yet this grown man is you as a parent, you're allowing that grown man to go home scot free just because of the word that hatutaki aibu kwa familia. Such things are the things that we want to mulika, and such things are the things that we want zikiwa zimetupwa nje mbali sana.
Thank you very much again, Keylor.
Asante.
I appreciate you.
Asante, thank you so much for having me.